Good morning, good morning. This is Fresh Source TV coming to you with another video. Today we're going to be going over the video of the shooting death of Mr. Trayford Pellerin in the city of Lafayette, Louisiana. Mr. Pellerin was shot to death on August 21st by Lafayette Police Department's officers. Now, there was a video captured by a young lady who claimed that she saw Mr. Pellerin with a knife in his hand. But today we're going to take our time to analyze the footage to see if the information that she provided was accurate. So we're going to jump right into the video. And what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to put the video in 360 mode so you guys can get a better chance to see what's going on in the footage. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and start the video off. Okay, now I'm going to walk the video back and we're going to go frame by frame. Well, at this time, let me go ahead on and mention the fair use copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commenting, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So let's go ahead and start this video. And there we can see Mr. Pellerin walking away from the police officers. And the video is in 360 mode, so it gives you like an all-around view of what's going on in the footage. So I'm going to take it, started from right here, and I'm going to pause and stop, pause and stop, pause and stop, so we can get a chance to see what's going on in the video. So right here we can see that there are officers in foot pursuit of Mr. Pellerin. So at this point, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 officers and a canine dog right here in foot pursuit of Mr. Pellerin. I'm just taking this frame by frame, and here we go. Mr. Pellerin comes into camera view. And as the video gets clearer, we can see that Mr. Pellerin right here, I don't know if you can tell, but I can. Hold on just a second. Here. It goes so fast, I'm going to have to take it frame by frame. I'm bringing you guys this video because there was a lot of unrest in the city of Lafayette concerning the death of Mr. Pellerin. A lot of people feel that there were other measures that could have been taken to take Mr. Pellerin down and avoid taking his life. And, some people feel that they could have put the dog on him. Some people feel that they could have. In my opinion, when we get closer to this is a good shot of Mr. Pellerin walking. And as you can see, he has something in his under his right arm. He's holding something. It appears to be like maybe a backpack. And right here, something comes into view as Mr. Pellerin is looking back, and his left hand is extended forward. We can see a reflection of light right here in Mr. Pellerin's hand. So let's continue to walk this video out. He's taking really wide strides, which tells me that he is seriously trying to get away from these officers. If my time runs out on this video, I'll make a second one. If I can't make my point on this video, I'll have to make a second one to finish it off. There we go. We see some officers still in foot pursuit of him, and we also see other officers in vehicles in pursuit of Mr. Pellerin. Okay, Mr. Pellerin is coming into a clear view of the camera. And at this point right here, as Mr. Pellerin approaches the convenience store, we get a clear shot of Mr. Pellerin's hands. And we also, if this wasn't in the way, I'm sorry I can't move this. But this police officer is so close to Mr. Pellerin. At this point, in my opinion, all he needed to do was stick his foot out and trip Mr. Pellerin. Mr. Pellerin would have fallen to the ground, and he would have been able to apprehend Mr. Pellerin without injury. But instead, they chose to fire their weapons. Now, let me reiterate. There was a statement made by Mayor Parish President Josh Guillory saying that the reason for them firing their weapons was because they were afraid that Mr. Pellerin would go into the store and harm the people inside. But if that is the case, if that is the narrative that they want to go with, well, then they need to explain to the community why these officers not only put 10 bullets in the back of Mr. Pellerin, but they also shot up the building. They shattered the glass and they shot rounds into the building. So that tells me that they were not too concerned about the people inside of the building. They need that to make sense. So they have some explaining to do to the community, rightfully so. This is a clear shot of Mr. Pellerin's hands. Again, this is a clear shot of Mr. Pellerin's hands. He's walking forward, and he's coming walking forward, coming to. Hi guys, I'm sorry about that. I told you guys if my video cuts off, I'd have to come back with a part 2 to continue to analyze the footage of the shooting death of Trayford Pellerin in Lafayette Parish in Lafayette, Louisiana. So right now I'm just going to jump right back into that video so we can continue to analyze the footage. I'm going to skip all this because we've done that already. So as I was saying, all the police officer had to do, in my opinion, because he was so close to Trayford, was stick his foot out and trip him. And that way Mr. Pellerin would have fallen to the ground and he would have been able to apprehend Mr. Pellerin without injury or incident. But instead they chose to fire their weapons. Okay, I'm going to let this video play out until we see Mr. Pellerin approaching the door about right here. So I can give you guys a chance to see that. At this point, before Mr. Pellerin actually puts his hand, put his hand on the door of the convenience store, we can clearly see that Mr. Pellerin didn't have anything in his hands, and that is my main point. I want everybody to understand that before these police officers shot Mr. Pellerin 10 times in his back, that he did not have a weapon. His hands were clear and free of any and all objects at the time. So here we go. This is his hands. He's walking forward a little bit towards the police officer that's in front of him. Now keep in mind, this police officer has his gun drawn on Mr. Pellerin. But look right here. Look at this police officer's legs. Look in between his leg. Look at how close Mr. Pellerin's leg is to the officer's leg. In my opinion, all this officer right here had to do was stick his foot out and trip Mr. Pellerin. That would have caused him to fall to the ground, and he would have been able to apprehend Mr. Pellerin. You know, that's the sad part about it, because we expect the people that are paid to protect and serve us to do the right things and to be thinking at all times. You know, if there is a way to de-escalate a situation, then that's what they should do. They shouldn't always be shooting to kill. Now we have a family who's mourning the death of a loved one, an unarmed person that was, in my opinion, from the video footage, was afraid of the police and trying to get away from them, seeking refuge in this building right here. That's what Mr. Pellerin was actually trying to do. Okay, and this is the point where they begin to fire their rounds. As Mr. Pellerin approaches to put his hand on the door of the convenience store, shots ring out. And they ultimately take him down, and once he's on the ground, they handcuff him. Now, make that make sense to me. They shot 10 bullets into the back of this human being and then turned around and handcuffed him. So yeah, let that soak in for a minute. The police handcuffed a man who was down, dead. They handcuffed a dead man. That is totally insane to me. I'm gonna walk it back because I don't want to violate YouTube guidelines. And we're going to just continue to let this sink in, because people need to understand what happened in this situation right here. This young man, at the time of his death, didn't have anything in his hands. No weapon. Nothing. Again, I want to say my thoughts and prayers go out to the Narcisse and Pellerin family. Again, I pray that God shelters them and protects them and covers them in His love so that they can be able to get through this difficult time. So I'm going to stop the video right here because I believe that we got a chance to see what we actually needed to see in the footage. And that is, the conclusion is that Mr. Pellerin did not have anything in his hands as he approached the convenience store. Again, his hands were free of any and all objects at the time the police shot 10 bullets into his body. This is First Source TV, wishing you guys have a great day on today, and thank you guys for listening and watching.